Hey everyone, I'm Ayub, Solutions Architect at CAS Software. As an IT architect, when you're trying to break down your legacy monoliths, you probably find yourself asking, where do I even start? What are the right candidates to isolate first? And without visibility, you can't make that call. It's too risky to guess. That's where custom imaging comes in. Today, I will show you how the MCP server feeds your AI assistant with imaging data to help you build that modernization roadmap. Let's look first at imaging. Here is a legacy monolith called Hades. It's a 2.4 million line of code polyglot application using Java Spring, AngularJS, COBOL, .NET, and MySQL. There are many approaches to decompose a monolith. As an IT architect, you're probably familiar with some of those. You have, for example, clustering algorithms, call graph analysis, and so on. For this video, I will keep it really simple on purpose. We will start at the database layer and use table naming patterns to identify functional domains. Here's the full inventory of all tables from your application, from ADs. With a bit of work, you can go through the table names and start making hypotheses on the potential functional domains. So that's what I did earlier, and I created a few tags per domain. So first, today we're going to focus only on the access and identity domain because I think that's the perfect one to extract first. It has three tables: users, roles, and OO2 clients. I want to extract it first because they don't have any tight coupling or heavy dependencies. So let's open them in a new view. That's what I did. I drilled into them and started to trace their colors upstream. So what you will see here in that view is the JPA entities, the JPA entity operations in green, then the repositories follow, and finally, you have the services, Java services and controllers. So in that view, you see that this is the right perimeter for your microservice. It has everything you need and directly from the structural analysis of your code base. Now, as an IT architect, you want a tool that your dev team can adopt easily. Imaging makes this possible via our MCP server. It connects its data directly to your AI assistant within VS Code, your environment. Let's see what that looks like in practice. We're going to use the same prompt in GitHub Copilot using Claude, without, then with MCP. So from the workspace here, I asked him to rely on the database layer of the application that is right there and identify all the functional domains and which ones we should extract first as microservices. It identified 7 domains. Some of them only have a single table. And for a huge application like that, that's just a fraction of what's actually there. It sounds structured, you have that extraction priority, the functional domains, what you should defer, so on and so forth, but it's probabilistic, incomplete, and not defensible. You can't sequence your migration on this. Now let's enable the MCP server with the exact same prompt. Let's focus on a random request done against imaging. For example, this one. So this one, I copy pasted this on content.json, and you see that if you remember well, we studied before in imaging viewer a table called OO2 with other tables like users and roles coming from a specific functional domain. And it's actually there in the output. So it shows you that we're really fetching the data from imaging from your application, so from the graph. So this is not cloud guessing. This is a deterministic query against the graph we just explored. If we look at the result, it shows that all the domains are identified, grounded in actual table names from Hades. And if we look at the first one, for example, it echoes what we tagged earlier in the viewer, the three tables: users, roles, and OO2 clients. And now let's look at the modernization roadmap. What is the functional domain we should extract first? It is identity and access management. So it really echoes with the conclusion I've made with imaging viewer. So that's how you can save time with the MCP server feeding your AI, and get those insights pretty quickly with GitHub Copilot. So to conclude, we went from a black box monolith to a decomposition roadmap you can actually trust and defend. Imaging gives you the structural evidence, and MCP brings it directly into your team's workflow. So now there is no more guessing, no black box, just architecture grounded decisions.